Hi, this is Brian Stevens from SPYPOINT, and I'm excited to talk with Ralph and Vicki today, who you may know from their successful career in outdoor television. Ralph and Vicki are true ambassadors of our hunting industry and doing it for the right reasons. I've had the pleasure of spending time with both of them, and they're truly great hunters, but more importantly, great people. Here's Ralph and Vicki. Welcome to the SPYPOINT podcast. I'm your host, Brian Stevens, and on this show, we get to talk about hunting, tactics, technology, and the inside scoop from industry pros. Follow along each month as we learn, laugh, and grow together with the passion we all have for the outdoors. This is the SPYPOINT podcast. Hey guys, how are you doing? And how are you holding up with all this craziness going on right now?
It's been kind of crazy. You're not kidding.
I'll tell you what, well, let's just put it this way. in life's journey, I don't believe none of us expected witnessing or living through something like this.
There's no question, and in so many different ways that it's impacting our lives. And, you know, for you guys in particular, obviously there's the personal side, you know, of this, of the things that we've got to do to stay safe and well and do our part. But there's the professional side, and I know you guys are being impacted by hunts. And I think you just recently shared with me, you know, some of the things that you would have done in BC. I mean, talk about some of the real world implications of what's happening to you guys right now.
Wow, Brad. Well, I mean, here, let's just look at a few things. Number one, the majority of our states right now have literally shut the borders down to non-residents going on turkey hunts. Okay, that's just one. That's turkey seasons across, you know, North America, or you know what I mean?
And we live in Illinois, and we've been sheltered in. This is our third week of being sheltered in. Originally, it was supposed to be 2 weeks, and now it's till the end of April.
Yep. So now, besides turkeys, let's talk about a big game animal, spring bear hunting, which we've sort of done for about 40 plus years. But I mean, here's what we've got to look at. One, a lot of the outfitters, you know, that we've hunted with for 30 years, you know, they're sitting there saying, okay, do we take the risk? Do we, you know, fill up our big gas tanks, the big drums, you know what I mean?
For all absolutely.
In the middle of the bush, expenses. All their baits. Do they go set up their remote camps? Do they run the baits? Do they do all this?
Do they pay their guides to go out there and start glassing like in BC?
Yeah. You know, and then have the risk that, you know, their government says, sorry, guys, the border is going to remain closed till the end of June. Well, so honestly, it's funny. We're talking right now. We just got a call, like right as you know, right before we started talking, from Glenn Venus, you know, and Trophy West, our BC guide that we've hunted with forever. And in the first time in 36 years, he is not going to have a spring bear season on Vancouver Island. Wow, that's huge.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, obviously for you guys, but for, you know, many other hunters, and then him in particular, is, you know, it's just how does, you know, someone like that, you know, sustain this, and hopefully they have the ability to do it, because, you know, I can tell you when we get through this, and I hope people rally around, you know, outfitters that you've built relationships like that, and other people to just help them, you know, get back on their feet the next year in book hunts and stuff. So it's tough all the way around. I hate that for you guys, because I know that's been a staple of your career, going out there and really chasing some giant bears.
Yeah, I mean, so far, honestly, so I know that we are not the only ones doing this, and no. We can't, you know, there's a lot of shows out there that right now, I mean, we are still trying to figure out if we can do Florida turkey.
Yep, I hope
so.
You
know, season ends the end of it on the 26th, you know, so we're cutting it close. We're waiting to see what happens. We canceled the New Zealand trip.
Oh, that one hurts.
That one hurt. That was supposed to be at the end of March. That one's gone. I mean, there's just so much that right now, it's just crazy. The world is a crazy place right now. So, you know, we're supposed to go to Manitoba before our BC hunt, which we obviously know that that's probably not going to happen for bears. We have a Saskatchewan bear hunt planned for the first week of June. We're kind of hoping and praying that one stays, that maybe they'll open the borders before that one. And we're going to talk to Russ at Adrenaline and see if Manitoba,
carry it in June,
if he could do it after the Saskatchewan hunt in June. And maybe we just make a loop. We drive up and we drive home,
Brian, you brought up a hell of a point. And that is that, first, we want to make sure that no one's thinking we're saying "whoa us." That's not what we're saying.
No, not at
we're
all.
Just having, you know what I mean. We're just having an open conversation, and
absolutely,
in what we're all dealing with. First and foremost, our prayers and our hearts and souls go out to all of everyone who's dealing with this situation. For those family members that have gotten this,
for all the for all the
responders, our medical. I mean, all of that first and foremost. Now, and then to bring it back to us, to bring it back to all of us who live the outdoor lifestyle, is you had made you hit something so beautifully, and that was to support these outfitters, because a lot of these outfitters, this is all they got.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
When you build relationships with these people too, they're part of your family. The ones that you really, over the years, who are the legit in it for the right reasons, that these are people as well.
Yep. Yes, sir. And I mean, we know a few of them that their time to make their, for them to shine and make a big percentage of their income is their spring bear season. And, just think of that. And 2/3 of your whole thing is out the door. And I mean, it's just a bad time for everybody, but again, one nation under God.
That's it, brother.
That's our nation. And we will persevere. The unity that has come across compared to what it was a few months ago in our nation it's tremendous. And I mean, we will be stronger after this. And we've got to get over some hurdles. And hell, I'm a short dude. Any hurdle is tall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Listen, I mean, there are times when our military is tested, and I think we show the fortitude and the strength of, and I'm, just like you guys, a supporter, and have had a brother who have served and done some, pretty incredible things. But now it's our medical community and our first responders, and to be able to see them in action and just the innovation and how tough they are. So thank you for saying that, because I also have a background in that industry, and I'm proud right now. All the bullcrap politics aside, I'm proud of our country for the work that we're doing to get over this. And you're right, we will get on the other side of it and be better for it. And so it's just buckling up now and making the most of it.
Yep.
So let's do this. Let's rewind. So you guys aren't going to BC, but walk us through maybe one or the two most epic bear hunts that you guys did have in BC, and talk about how they were so memorable, and maybe the good and bad went with it. But I know that of all those bears that you hunted, there's probably a couple that just really stick out in your mind. So let's talk about something positive and fun and rewind a little bit.
I can tell you mine, and I think you're gonna. We were on the coast. We're hunting with Glenn, and we're staying in an inlet on a big boat. And as the tide goes out, the big boars come to the shoreline. Okay.
Yep.
And as they're doing this, we see this good bear. So we take the boat, we get the wind in our favor. We climb all the way through, soaking wet. I mean, just miserable, but loving every step. We finally get to a position, and we're sitting there. And I was actually hunting with my crossbow at the time.
Okay.
Well, he disappears, just disappears. And we're like, where is he? And we sat for 30, 40 minutes, and we're glassing, just trying to see just something. And he just went back in. And what we learned for years over there, these bears, normally they'll come out on that shoreline. They'll last about 45 minutes to an hour, hour and 25, and then they go back. Whether, and then they just settle down, and then, they slowly, give them a few hours, and they come back out. So we just must have hit him at that time. Well, so now we took our boots off, because I was trying to get close. I wanted to, stick this thing real, just for the footage, for the fun, for the challenge. Well, so we're sitting down, and we're putting our boots back on. The bear pops out. Now, this is all on camera. The bear pops out 20 yards or 30 yards.
Yeah, in front of us.
In front of us. And
we're all sitting on the ground,
yeah,
putting our wet wool socks back into our knee-high rubber boots, which is not an easy task.
No. So all of a sudden his head comes out, looks to the right, and then looks to the left. And when he looked to the left, what we assume, now again, we can't think what they think, but he comes charging. And I already had discharged the crossbow.
Of course.
And I'm in the front. Glenn's right in back of me. He's got a gun. He's, and I just stood up and all on camera. And I hunkered my right foot into the ground, and I was going to stab him with the front part of the crossbow just to maybe stop him from. And
in the meantime, Glenn has a gun, but Ralph is in Glenn's way.
I'm in front of him. And so there were some words bleeded out.
I'm sure.
on his part, but the reality of
and I'm behind both of them capturing it all on film. So that was fun.
Absolutely.
We only did change our shorts after
that. It was awesome, man. It was awesome. We live for those adrenaline rushes, and that was one. And what we realized as we sat there and he took off. So he come, me standing up and go, wah, like a little Italian ninja dude, I went boom. And the bear just cut right to my right side and went back in the bush. So we're sitting there and in reality, what we realized, because I said, guys, wait a minute. Why did black bears normally don't do that?
No. Yep.
I said, what? And we're thinking, and then we realized here we are. We're sitting down, laying, on our butts.
They don't see real well.
We're not a human profile. We're just a dark object profile, and it's small. Well, now, thinking, he comes out of the bush, thinks maybe it's a sow and cubs.
Oh.
Because it's the spring. He knows if he kills those cubs, she'll recycle. And that's why we think he came at us. But that was, believe it or not, one of my most memorable adventures there. And I still remember it, and that was 12 years ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's one you don't forget, guys. That's one you don't forget. That's what the beautiful thing. It's not about, killing something on that moment. It's about the experience of being eye to eye with a big animal like that and trying to process it and think it through. And cool story. Great story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, the thing is that Ralph and I, we really truly have been blessed, and we've done a lot of bear hunting together.
Yep.
A lot. It's crazy how much we've done together, actually. But
well, it's because the reality of it is now we ain't knocking nothing. We like turkey hunting. But if you
I'd rather hunt
big game animals in the spring than turkeys. Sorry, but that's the truth.
No, listen, I mean, I've done my fair share of bear hunting and turkey hunting, and I've not done it to the extreme that you guys, and you've done some really cool stuff. But I've had a few bear hunts, and to me, the few that were my most memorable were just the ones where we did on the ground and not in a tree stand, and shot a couple of bears where they were probably 10 feet away with a bow, making a decision: are they coming in to our blind on the ground, or are they, those you don't forget. So I totally understand what you guys are saying.
That's actually one of the things that we've done more of over the past year, just because, trying to make it more exciting and stuff like that, is we've done a lot more bear hunting from ground blinds all the way across Canada. And it's a lot. It's, just it wasn't a BC hunt, but just a couple years ago, Freddie from our office here, he and I were sitting in a ground blind in Saskatchewan. And, we had our SPYPOINT cameras up, and we've got pictures of this giant bear. And
stud of a bear.
The thing is that there was another hunter in camp that sat in there, and he never saw him.
Okay.
So Jeff is like, you know what? It's your last night. If you want to go and try, or the second to the last night, I think it was, because I wasn't seeing anything anywhere. And he's like, if you want to go try it, the bear's just smart. He doesn't want to come in when anyone else is there. And then we're like, okay, we'll give it a whirl. And Freddie and I are sitting there, and it was so funny because here we are sitting in a ground blind. And I've got my bow, and Freddie's filming me, and I hear a noise, and I thought it was Freddie kind of clearing his throat. And then I thought he was like scratching the blind, and I'm like, and I looked at him to give him like an evil, dirty eye, like, why are you making noise? it's prime time. Don't make noise, at the camera guy. And I looked at, and as I turned to look at Freddie to make a face at him, the bear's head is almost in our window.
Of course it is.
And it's huge. And I just grab hold of Freddie's knee. It's right next to my knee. And I grab hold of his knee because it's small blinds, big.
So wait a minute. You're grabbing another man's knee?
Yeah.
Ralph, did you not know this? Wait a minute.
I never heard this part of the storyline.
I'm telling you what, Freddie and I both at the same time were like, and the bear just kind of walked over and walked away, and he went around, and, of course, everything happens in a millisecond. And then, of course, my mic battery was dead, and it started making static, and the bear heard it, but he stopped at 20 yards, and I made a great shot on him, and we covered him. But, it was that moment of truth, I guess you could almost say, where all of a sudden I'm getting ready to give Freddie this, like, hey, knock it off, quiet, and this giant bear, I mean, he was a big bear. He was seriously leaning on the blind and rubbing it and almost looking into the blind.
Well, and that's amazing that you kept it together and, pulled it off and were able to recover that bear. I mean, listen, I have been close to a few decent sized bears, but I know the bears in that area are huge. And when you guys say this is a big bear, so I can only imagine the size of that bear's mulligan and how big his head was. And if it was that close, that's an uh-oh moment.
And
I'm still hung up on this knee grab.
And then after because he came around on Freddie's side of the blind, but we didn't have the windows open. We only have a small front window open,
Yeah.
So when he showed up and he's right there in front of that window, after he goes away and I shoot him and he runs off, and Freddie and I are both just like, holy crap, what just happened?
Those are the best when it happens so fast outside of, her hand on his knee, Ralph. Outside of those, when it happens so fast and it just out of the blue and it just all comes together, and afterwards, whether it's a bear, a deer, a turkey, and you just go, what just happened? To me, those are the most memorable that just will never leave you, and just will always be. I love those moments when they happen that way.
Pre-roll wasn't great, but hey, it was fun.
I want to put this out there. I think I would like it for any female camera people.
Oh my God.
I would like to, maybe possibly hire one, because maybe I could get someone to squeeze my knee.
Absolutely, Ralph.
Damn.
Dang. I mean, absolutely. We'll work on that. That could be part of the 20-year, special,
there you go. Taking care of Ralph.
Oh my God.
I love it. Vicki. All right. Next subject, Vicki.
Yeah.
Too funny. I want to remind everyone to visit spypoint.com/2020 to see all the products that are new for this year and will be available from SPYPOINT at your local retailers later this spring. Well, talk about, the outfitter. I mean, obviously, if you're going to the same outfitter, having the right animals are important. But to me, it's much more than that. It's the relationship. It's the experience. So, talk a little bit about, the outfitter and the guy that you've used over the years. What are some of the things you look for? And if somebody has not done a bear hunt and, as we get through all of this and want to go support some of these outfitters, what are the right type of questions? What do they look for? What do you define as a good quality outfitter?
First, I think for years people made the mistake. They'd call up an outfitter. Before it was, I should say, you'd call up, or this will show you how long I've been doing this. We would send letters. We would make phone calls. Now it's
send
just
pigeons.
a text away, or an email. But most people, hey, what is your success rate? Forget asking that. Really, it's such a misleading thing. For example, most of the outfitters that we've hunted with forever, they may have a true, 50 to 70% success rate, some actually higher. But let's be real right now. But more than anything, I want to see a couple things. One, we want to see what's their return. What is their client base return? In other words, if you look and you see that the same client has been going there year after year, and maybe they haven't shot a bear every year, or, they shot a monster and now they're just waiting. They're passing up a bunch. Why has that person got that much faith in that individual?
Yep.
One, honesty, integrity. You cannot get mad at an outfitter if the weather is crappy. You can't.
No.
That's out of their control. But what you can be disappointed with is if you're overpromised and underdelivered.
100%. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Been there.
If they show you this, I don't give a damn about the lodge. I'll be honest with you.
Yep.
Never have.
No.
I want good hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I want good camaraderie. You know what I mean? People normally are trying to boast something when something else may be lacking. You know what I mean? The hunting to me is more important. The camaraderie, and the other thing too is scenics. We love being in some of the most beautiful places that God's created.
Yeah.
I don't want to hunt near a dump. I don't want any of that junk. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We want to see the pristine wilderness. We want to enjoy that. And talking to an outfitter, and talk to them multiple times. Ask them for references of successful and non-successful clients.
That's a great,
because here's a good example. We were on a moose hunt years ago, and this guy hunted 10 days, hated the hunt, and he had absolute 100% right to hate it. Things weren't, the outfitter, the boat motors
clashed with the guy.
Yeah, and the boats and motors weren't working. Everything that you could think of on the outfitter's end wasn't taken care of properly. He shoots a moose the last day.
Okay.
Praises the whole deal. So okay. Now that praise the outfitter and just is all. We were there. We were at the camp, and then he goes home and then just rips it. Here's an outfitter told Vicki and I years and years ago. If you don't tell me I have a problem in my camp, I can't fix it.
Yep.
Don't go home and bash me. If you tell me in camp, listen, I'm not getting along with this guy. Listen, I thought this was going to be or that or this. I have the opportunity to fix it. But if you go home not saying anything, please at least have the respect for me and give me that chance to make things right while you're here. That's credibility. That's honesty.
Absolutely.
And that's the kind of things you want to find. And I believe that a lot of people can read people in the first few minutes of a conversation, and if they're full of crap or not.
Yep.
Right. You look at the photos, and if all the photos, next thing you know, like here's a really good one. You look at big popular thing, white-tailed deer, and you look at photos on someone's website, and the majority of the photos are of the same deer.
Head just turned different ways.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, obviously, something's up there, and no one's returning. You find out that they, have a zero clientele returning base. And the other thing too is, you have these sites that you can go and judge or rate an outfitter. But again, I don't know if that's as accurate as they should be, just like that hunter I just told you about. You know what I mean? He was all happy, but then he came back, because then we know others that, remember that here, I don't want to, we won't, but
I'm like, what are you talking about?
We're at a very expensive hunt. Okay. This is up north for moose. And this guy pulls in, gets off a float plane. He's got a bow. He got at a rummage sale. Now, mind you, this is an expensive hunt. Mm-hmm. He's got 6 arrows in a quiver, and none of them match. He's got broadheads that he's been shooting in a target. And he's like, I've been watching you guys, and I figured I'm going to try it. And we're like, oh my gosh, the man had more money than sense.
Yeah.
So Vicki and I ended up, we gave him we retuned everything at the at the base camp. Had him shooting with new broadheads and new arrows. And but I guess the other thing we can't judge an outfitter on, and that is the hunter themselves not being prepared, whether it's mentally and physically.
Right.
And that's a fair point. I mean, you got to self-reflect sometimes too. So I think that's a fair point in all of this as well.
Yeah. And like I said, like for bear hunting, you're hoping that your guide, your outfitter is doing everything you're doing. If you're going to go on, like, say you're going to hunt in Alberta or in Manitoba in the big woods, or Saskatchewan, where, you are going to hunt bait sites, there's ways to tell when you get there, or if they send them pictures of the bait sites, if it's worn down, you can see that, the outfitter's been running those baits and stuff like that. You're going to have more confidence in that outfitter than you would if you went to a place and there's like, wait a minute, we got to turn. No, wait, the trail goes this way. No, wait, we went the wrong way. Obviously, you can tell which ones have been doing their job, as much as they should be, compared to the ones that are just, here you go. One of the things, though, that, gosh, when Ralph and I, way back when we were first married, back in the 90s, and he used to run a bear camp up in Ontario. And back in those days, we had to use trail timers. We didn't have trail cameras.
Okay.
We didn't have our trail cameras. We didn't have our SPYPOINTs, back in the day.
God, I wish we did. Oh.
So we would, you take out that little string, you put the log on top of the bait, something comes and knocks it off. And
a damn squirrel or a mink
something was there at, 4:15, and, and then you keep checking and checking. Where nowadays, I mean, there's a lot of do-it-yourself black bear hunts where you can in some of the provinces where you just go and you pay, kind of like, hey, you can stay here and these are your bait sites over here and you can go ahead and run them and do what you want on them. And one of the key things to keeping that a success for yourself are taking your trail cameras up there with you.
Or send them. If you're going into an outfitter, you can contact them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And we'll send them 3 or 4 and say, guys, here, all we're asking is the bait sites that you were going to have us hunt. Can you put these on there? Because a lot of times, a lot of guys, it's well worth. You already made the investment on the hunt.
Right. And sometimes, I mean, you go up on these hunts and, if you do go to one where they're saying, okay, well, this is your guys' line, or you guys get these 3 baits or whatever, put cameras up on the other 2 sites where you're not hunting. So you're not just wondering what's going into those sites when you're not there, but you can actually see what's happening. You know what I mean? So you can go ahead and do it that way, and it becomes beneficial to you.
No, that's great feedback. Great feedback. And, listen, I think this is information that those that have not gone out there and have done this, but have always wanted to me, one of the things I think we can do as stewards of this industry, and you guys, again, have a lot more experience and have done some amazing things, but is how do you help others experience some of the things that we've experienced by, having the best experience possible. It's not about, just going and killing an animal. And for some people, I guess it is, but is sharing this kind of information so others can go out and see a bear up close and have a good experience and want to come back. And maybe they can only do it every 5 years. So you just try to share information to help them. And to me, I think that's part of what we have to do as people in the industry. And so this is great feedback.
Well, I mean, we owe it. We owe it to everybody, everyone that supported all of us, you and all of us, for all these years. We're not trying to be something we're not. We're not telling everybody we're experts. I hate that damn word. I do. You know who the experts are? The animals themselves. But we've put aside our human egotistical thinking and said, listen, you want to learn about an animal? Watch it. Experience it, go witness it, be one with that animal. In other words, just follow, look at the tracks, look at the sign, look at the bite marks that a boar is going to walk down an old logging road, and he's going to bend over and he's going to bite a pine tree. Why? He's marking his territory.
Look for a pod trail.
Look at a pod trail for a bait site, and it's a big pod trail coming into your bait site on a regular basis, and a big bear will walk in the same print every time.
And you'll see this in a lot of the places you're talking about, mossy land, there are rocks and stuff like that, but you can see actually if there's a big bear on a site, he's going to use the same entrance and exit almost every time, and he's going to have those footprints, and you can see it.
And a lot of people probably wondered, why do we like our bear hunting so much? And here's the reality of it. In the fall, we do our deer, we do all of our elk, our moose, we even hunt our brown bears, in the fall. in the spring, we still love to be out in the woods. So turkey season comes in early, but our bear season normally goes May and June. It allows us the opportunity to be out there more, but also we love the country they're in. We love that dark, dense, swampy, boggy, just beautiful country where they live. And they're an awesome animal. When you watch an animal, come in and he only weighs 175 pounds and he takes a boulder that's huge or a big log that you laid down and he flips it with his right hand. You know what I mean? You're like,
makes you appreciate him. Wow. Yes. And respect
him.
Yeah.
I mean, and just here's the end of the day. Bears have to be managed.
Yes, they do.
Totally. Every animal that we have has to be managed. And, no matter where they live, no matter how remote, how desolate, we still have to be stewards, and we still have to go and, try to maintain some type of management, assistant program to help keep these animals strong, to keep them all stronger and healthier.
Well, and that's part of why they give you 2 tags in a lot of these provinces and areas in Canada and other places, because they absolutely do need to be managed. Because if they don't, think about the damage they would do on the deer fawn population and others. And I don't think people understand, how devastating they can be if they aren't managed on the deer population in the spring time frame. So that's a great point as well.
Well, the other thing too, Brian, go on. I mean,
no, I was going to say that, and the other thing is, so like in British Columbia,
moose.
You can't bait. It is only stop and stalk.
Okay.
But you have mountains to where you can go ahead and climb up and glass, and that's how we hunt them on Vancouver Island.
Yep.
You're glassing cuts, you're glassing timber cuts, and you're trying to find those green patches and the dandelions and stuff like that. But once those moose calves start dropping,
they're gone. The bears
they're gone.
disappear.
The bears disappear. They're not eating the dandelion fields anymore. They're out chasing moose and trying to get those calves.
Yep.
So, but the thing is that you do get emails about, oh yeah, sure, you're going to hunt something over a bait site. Well, it's the only way you can really be successful in helping manage a bear population in those thicker timbers in Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, is going in that big timber and setting it up so they can come in. But at the same time, you're not just trying to decrease the numbers of bears. You're watching what else is going on. You watch those cubs and the sows and the cubs come in. I mean, if you see, I think the most we had was 5 cubs with 1 sow one time.
Yep.
They were just the size of footballs. But I mean, this is stuff that we get to take knowledge of, and we can witness it, and we can go ahead and let the game and the fish and game departments know, hey, you know what? There's a great population of bears up here. You go back, you tell your outfitter what you saw, and they take that knowledge back to the departments, and then they're able to help figure out more management tools to have this set.
And that's it. So it's like a full circle thing. So it's the experience yourself, but then it's the intel and the information that you're providing back. And, and that's part of our role as well, and so, and to me, one of the cool things is sitting there, seeing a sow and all of her cubs, and you have no intention, of doing any harm to those cubs, but to sit and to watch them, is a super cool. And I know, 3 years ago, I was in, Alberta, and we were bear hunting, and we were on the ground, made a, homemade ground blind, and, waiting for, a particular bear to come in, and literally just humbles you. I was looked over to my right, and there was a giant wolf sitting on a log staring at us, had no clue he was there, looked at him, and then before, I know it, he just slips away, and, and that was one of the coolest things. And even though I had a wolf tag, there's no way I was going to be able to pull that off with a bow on the ground, and he's already looking at me. But to just see that big animal and respect the fact that he totally knew we were there. He was watching, checking us out, and once he knew that I knew the gig was up, he's like, okay, I'm out. But that was one of the coolest experiences of seeing something else in the woods outside of, a bear and just being out there, which, you guys talked about. That's just part of the experience.
Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you guys this. This is something I know early on gave me a little bit of a challenge, and that judging bears, on the ground. And it's not easy, so
no.
Give people a little bit of sense of some of the things you go through, especially as that, big animals coming in and, and some of them it's obvious, big mature boar, no brainer, but there are some that can be a little bit deceiving too. So walk through your thought process and how you judge bears.
Okay, so one of the things we used to say all the time, and when we would do seminars and when we had the bear camp way back when, was we would tell them just, here's the thing. When they come in, it's going to be the biggest bear you've ever seen in your entire life. If you've bear hunted, they can still fool you. We used to call them helium bears because people would shoot a bear and say, it is the biggest bear you've ever seen. And then you go up and you're like, okay, nice bear. And, Ralph picks it up and walks out, It's one of those things because bears, there's a fear factor in bears. They have claws and teeth. And so, you think about different things. And if you're sitting on the ground, even in a tree stand, they can look bigger than they are. Because you got to realize how thick that hair is on them, especially in the springtime. It's standing up and everything else. But one of the things is that if you're hunting, obviously, like you just said, no-brainer bears. Oh my gosh, if it has a crease on that forehead from where the muscle is coming up off the skull, that's a no-brainer. That's just, don't even hesitate. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But the thing is that there's so many different ways of judging a bear that, if you're sitting on the ground or if you're hunting over a bait site, one of the ways is if you have a 55-gallon drum. If
make sure the outfitter tells you what size drum if they're using
that it's not a 35-gallon drum. If he's 2/3 of that drum of a 55-gallon drum, 2/3 of that drum, if he's taller than that, he's a decent bear.
Mm-hmm.
If he's taller than the drum, he's a good bear. You can go ahead and you can walk up. Think about how you stand next to like a barrel, okay? And if you're standing next to a barrel, well, up to me, it's probably up to my hip. To Ralph, it's probably
my neck,
maybe neck high. But anyway,
I'm leaving now.
Thanks, Ralph. Take care.
My knee's not getting touched. Nothing. I got nothing going. Listen, it's over.
But one of the things you can do also is if you're hunting bears and you're not hunting with a barrel, say, or a drum, is you can go walk around. If you're just naturally putting it, in the ground or whatever, you can go around and mark spots on trees about hip high with a little axe. Just chink a little thing into the wood so you can see, so you have a visual of where you want to exactly, because there's a lot of different ways of judging them.
Or take a branch, take all the leaves off so you could definitely distinguish it, in the thick foliage, and take it from the ground, measure it from the ground to your waist. Your where your belt is. Stick that in the ground. If the bear comes in and he's level to that somewhere, now you have a distinct marking. You're like, oh boy, that's could be a good bear. The other thing too, and here it goes again. I'm going to get in trouble, but boars and sows for many, it's very hard to distinguish. You know what I mean?
It is. Yeah,
it is. A very, very positive way of seeing it is, small front, barren hips. So in other words, if her front shoulders are real narrow, but she's got a big butt, oh, I'm in trouble. It's just telling you, it's going to be more than likely a sow.
And she'll probably have a pinnier face. Yep. Her face isn't going to be as wide. She's going to have a longer muzzle. Where on a boar, your front shoulders are going to be as big as your back, as your butt, and your head. The noses, usually the bigger boars, are going to have more of a stout nose to him, and he's going to have a crease in his forehead.
And the other thing too is, look at the ears. And I've I've used this analogy for so long that you look at like the Mickey Mouse little cap that you put on your head, okay? And the ears are almost touching.
Yep.
Okay? On a young bear, your ears will sit high. Don't necessarily judge them by the size of the ear, but where the position of the ears are. The older the bear gets, the more his ears start to go down further. This is where you get your width. So if someone's looking to shoot a record book animal, there's two measurements: the length and the width
of the skull.
Right, of the skull. So now what happens is those ears, instead of being high up on the head, they start to come lower down on the sides. That's giving you an age structure, just as Vicki too. And you get the crease. Did you
just call me old?
Well,
you said just as
Ralph,
Vicki.
did you just go
an
there?
Age structure.
Here it goes.
Just as Vicki too. You heard that, right, Brian?
I heard it. I heard it.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Again, I'm looking for a female camera person.
For 3.5 weeks at this point. It's getting a little sticky.
You guys need to get in the woods quick.
Yes, turkey season opens on Monday here.
Beautiful. No, Ralph, seriously, no, that's the ears are a huge thing. That was something that tricked me up a little bit too, early on. So that's you've taught me a few things today.
Yeah, just visualize. Yeah, right. Just visualize. Look at any bear. Look at a mount. Look at, if you're in a zoo or a park and you're looking at bears, and just look, and you'll see where the ears are further back and lower down. Yep. That's just the maturity. That's age. That's how the skull actually, grows. And I mean, it's just what it is. Look at a dog. And I'm not saying we're hunting dogs. Let's clear that. But you're big old. You'll look at a blocky lab.
Yep. And
you go, oh my gosh, look at the size of his head. You'll see that, and you can relate the same way to judging bears. Your first thing you look at is go, oh my gosh, look at the size of his melon.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Boom.
No, that's great. That's great. So listen, thank you both for sharing some incredible feedback. And when we get through all of this, hopefully, people will be interested and want to take that leap and go out there, and you've given them some things to research and to ask an outfitter and to go experience it, because spring bear hunting is one of the funnest, coolest experiences I've ever had. And I know for you guys, doing it as long as you've had is one of your most favorite things you talked about. So let's shift gears to, we're coming up on 20 years for your show. And one of the things that I will honestly say about both of you, and having a chance to spend more time with you, is that it's less about you guys and more about the experience. And that, to me, is when I judge people who are doing it for the right reasons. And that's, to me, what it's about. It's about the experience, the animal, the good, the bad, the ugly, the mess ups, the successes. And that's truly, in my opinion, what you guys represent as true ambassadors to the industry. So
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And you guys are, more importantly, great hunters, but you're great people. So tell people about what's to come year 20, and what, we get through all this mess that people can expect from the show and all the cool things that you guys do.
This is, it's kind of crazy. So, like you just said, this is our 20th year on the Outdoor Channel with Archer's Choice. So this is a big thing. I can tell you 20 years ago, if someone would have told me that this is what we were still doing, I probably would have laughed at you. Like, how do you do that?
It's not easy.
It's not easy, but you know what? We've been blessed. And honestly, it doesn't feel like 20 years. It has flown by. That makes us 20 years older, though, also. So that kind of stinks. But before the TV show, we did DVDs. And before the DVDs, we did hunting videos. Go back to those VHS tapes. I mean, so we've been around for a long time. But I think the 20 year on the Outdoor Channel it really says something. For us to be able to do it, to still have the support and the viewers and everyone to continue on and supporting us and enjoying what we're doing. Ralph and I, we don't look at it as a job. So we've always said, heck, probably by year 5, we said, if it ever becomes a job, we're not going to do it. So we truly have been blessed on the fact that we just keep doing this. This year's a little tough. This spring
has its own challenges.
It has its own challenges. I mean, there's footage that should be being filmed and it's not getting done because we can't, for our safety, for other safety and stuff like that. But we've got some great Archer's Choice episodes coming up that Chad and Freddie
we're even doing the best of.
We're doing the
best
of.
Nice.
Yeah,
Vicki's best moose hunts, Ralph's best moose hunts, our best bear hunts, our best deer.
So we've got all kinds of really cool things coming up on this year's Archer's Choice and the Choice this year. We've got some really cool things, kind of doing some throwback stuff.
Yep.
And it's just, I think everyone's going to have a good time with it. I know that we're our producers, Chad and Freddie, are ready to kill us because some of the ideas that we want to do, and they're like, you guys, come on now. But I think it's going to be good. We're excited about it.
Yes,
it's quite an accomplishment, I think. There's a lot of hunting shows out there, and we've truly been blessed to be that forefront, that America's favorite hunting couple kind of thing, to get it going. And we, thank God every day for it.
Amen.
listen, when you say accomplishment, that don't underestimate how much of an accomplishment that is. And what I love to hear from both of you and doing it for 20 plus years is the excitement in your voices, and that it's not a job, and that you are very blessed and you appreciate what you're doing, because it's easy to get lackadaisical and just get stagnant and just do it just because, but you don't see that from you guys. And I love the excitement, and that's, I think, what we need to celebrate, and hopefully others will embrace in our industry, because, again, it's more than just going and filming a kill. It's about everything in between, and you guys absolutely represent that.
Well, thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. So, listen, anything else as far as any, stuff, videos, follow you guys? I mean, obviously, on TV, but are there any other ways that people can connect with some of the things you guys have going on day to day and in the future?
Absolutely. So obviously we have all those wonderful social media sites, all of them. If you go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's all at Ralph and Vicki. That's how you find us. Vicki with an I. YouTube is the same thing. Our YouTube channel is up and running. It has been. We've been adding some more hunts on there, some shortened versions of things, all of our trailers and all. And we actually just redid our website, which is really more video driven, but we do have a store on there as well. But yeah, so we just redid that. It's just up and running within like the last month or so. So that's awesome. And that's archerschoicemedia.com. And you can see all kinds of things going on there.
Very cool.
Yeah, we've just got a bunch of crazy things going on. We're trying to get more things filmed, more tips, since we have time sitting here in the woods in our house. Just trying to get more content for everyone, because we know everyone's going crazy and needs stuff to do.
No.
Here, buddy, here's what we would tell everybody. Listen, take this opportunity, spend time with your family and your close friends who are able to, to be near, but get out in the woods. Forget about all the hype of all, this or this is going to make you better. There's three things. Really, there's only one thing that'll make you better, and that's become a better woodsman.
Yep.
Learn to read the sign that nature puts out there. You will be amazed at how that will increase your success in every aspect of being out there, in what we love to do.
No, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. And, we've got to get down to Florida, and Billy and I go chase some birds with you guys down there and go do some bow fishing. Hopefully next year we'll get through all this as well. And I wish you guys a ton of success. Stay safe. It's been truly a pleasure and an honor to speak with both of you. And I know we'll do this again, but guys, be blessed and stay safe and well.
God bless you, the families, and everyone else. Thank you, guys.
Will do. Take care. Thanks for joining us on the SPYPOINT podcast. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for all the latest product information and the hunting content you're after. For Ralph and Vicki and myself, Brian Stevens, thanks for joining us today. Until next time.